Good afternoon. We are getting ready now for our last panel. This particular panel will focus on the Africa agenda of the United African Organization. We're going to examine issues of trade and security and human rights and all the work that still needs to be done. And I say that because too often people think that Africa is just a one-dimensional continent, but we do have complexities. And we have two speakers today who are going to address these issues and provide for us an insight as to the opportunities on the continent, but also the challenges and how we can build an engaged constituency for Africa right here in the United States of America. And that's important because the only way we can effect change in U.S. policy toward Africa is when we build an engaged constituency. When people organize and demand change in a constructive way that will ensure that the relationship between Africa and the United States is not simply one-dimensional approach to resource extraction, and these days more effort on the militarization of that relationship in the form of AFRICOM. And AFRICOM, as far as we are concerned, is one of the greatest threats to African independence this century. So President Obama, please, if you have a way to really stop this, stop AFRICOM, and you'll be helping African independence. And thank you. Now, we have two panelists here that have great expertise in this area. They are both good friends of mine. Ntum is the Senior International Trade Specialist, as you see up here, with the Office of Trade and Investment, the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. And Prexy is no stranger to Africa policy and advocacy work. He brings more than 4 decades of consistent work in this area, providing leadership and support for the African liberation movement in Southern Africa, especially Mozambique and the other Portuguese-speaking countries. He was very instrumental in building an infrastructure for the anti-apartheid movement, and the work he's done is really inimitable. He is one who understands the connection between practice and action. In other words, it's not just all about theory, it's about putting your life on the line, but standing there and effecting the change that you believe in. He's someone who inspires us every day because in spite of all these years of putting mileage in building an engaged constituency for Africa advocacy work in the US, he still continues to run. And in fact, in about a few weeks' time, the two of us will be heading out to Cuba. So Prexy Nesbitt, you are the first speaker. Thank you, Prexy.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Where is my pacekeeper? Oh, there you are. Thank you very much. You know, that's the first thing you got to find these days when you speak somewhere, is who is out there monitoring you, telling you when to stop. Okay? Let me say I'm very happy to have this chance to share with you. I'm sharing from the perspective of an organization that I'm working with that's called the U.S. Africa Network. And more than anything else, I want to encourage you to take a look at our website and to get in touch with us and to work with us. It is a new organization, a year old. It was founded in the void that has been existing recently because of the difficulties that Trans-Africa Forum has been in, because of the difficulties that Africa Action has been in. So there has been, as many of you may have noticed already, no national organization working on Africa, let alone an organization that has deep links to the African continent and to various countries. So I work with about 40 or 50 other people, many of them scholars on Africa, young people, old people, black, white, intergenerational is a very key theme of ours, and that we work in solidarity with the African continent and with the people of Africa. I'll say more about this in a minute or two. In 2007, Trans-Africa Forum wrote a tremendously important document that was entitled Inclusive Human Security, U.S. National Security Policy, Africa and the African Diaspora. I urge all of you to take a look at that 95-page document about inclusive human security. Recently, in 2012, the Obama administration, as part of its annual projections around Africa, released what's called the U.S. strategy towards sub-Saharan Africa. And I don't think there could be two documents that are more different in style and content than the document from Trans-Africa Forum and the document from the U.S. strategy piece of 2012. Essentially, what the U.S. strategy towards Africa is can be reduced to about 4 pillars. Allegedly, it is involved in strengthening democratic institutions. It is involved in supporting African economic growth and development. It is involved in advancing peace and security on the African continent. And lastly, it is involved in promoting opportunity and development on the African continent. Now, all of that sounds quite well and quite good. I have to share with you that we in my organization have a counter view. Our view is that these are not the real substance of U.S. policy towards Africa, but are simply part of the frosting on the cake that is presented. And that the view of freedom my organization advances and is involved in is one where poverty, racism, and militarism have been ended, and where there can be freedom in a world like today. And I think, though that may sound noble and idealistic, I think it's about a very far different set of values. How can there be freedom, I ask you, my brothers and sisters, in a world like today, in a reality like today, where under the Obama administration today, the U.S. military is involved in more than 90% of Africa's 54 countries. Now, U.S. military experts and leaders say that what they're presenting is a small footprint. That's what they say publicly. But then when you talk to them off the record and away from the cameras, what they talk about is that they are running secret wars and say, this is the quote that I'd like you to remember from my talk today, military officers who say Africa is the battlefield of tomorrow today. Let me repeat that. Africa is the battlefield of tomorrow today. And what I think we're seeing is that, in fact, what is happening is that U.S. militarism on the African continent is steadily climbing on a level and at a speed that we have never seen before. One of the foci of our organizing is to end U.S. militarism on the African continent. We have a four-pronged program that we're involved in. I would urge you to participate with us in an upcoming counter-mobilization to the projected Obama Summit Conference on August 4th in Washington, D.C., when African heads of state, various selected ones, have been invited to come to Washington. We are going to conduct, in a 4-day period around that, an Empowering Africa Summit Conference. We work on other issues, incidentally, beyond the question of just militarization of the African continent. We are also very involved with climate justice issues, with issues like mobilizing against the tremendous fossil fuel pollution that's taking place on the African continent. And that's the kind of thing that we are concerned about when you hear U.S. has as one of its pillars supporting opportunity and development. Is it going to be for the kind of corporate development and corporate opportunity that the Nigerian Delta has seen from Gulf or Chevron oil company, which has ended up with pollution levels that are just beyond belief in the Niger Delta? We ask the question, is the growth and development that is being projected by the Obama administration one for the people of the African continent, or is it one for U.S. multinational corporations to make more money out of Africa, a la the colonialism period and the slave trade? We recognize that there is always the fear that has to be dealt with of terrorism and the threat from terrorism. We feel, however, that from time to time that fear gets used as a methodology for the repenetration of the African continent. And when you look at some specific figures and information, and I would urge any of you to please take a look at some of our website information that, for instance, points out, well, you saw in the New York Times about a week ago that the U.S. is training elite anti-terror troops now in 4 specific countries that were pointed out: Libya, Niger, Mauritania, and Mali. But in fact, what we have found is that the U.S. is currently averaging more than a mission a day in Africa. An article brought up in the 27th of March this year by a man named Nick Terse. You have to go to the alternative presses to find these stories. This article points out the 10 exercises, 55 operations, 481 security cooperation activities, that these tell the real story about the U.S. involvement in Africa, and that's why we say that we're looking at something that's taking place today. It's projected tomorrow, but in fact, it is taking place today, even as we meet today. So we think it's very important for people to know things, to be involved, to above all raise questions with our elected representatives about what is going on the African continent in terms of the policies of the United States government. The hope was that when a son of Africa would be elected president of this country, it would lead to a qualitatively different approach to the African continent. That has not been the case, my friends. And instead, what we see happening are policies and activities that really are more reminiscent of the Reagan administration and the Bush administration, rather than they are reminiscent of a son of Africa providing growth and development possibilities to the countries of Africa that he comes from. Now, all of this, of course, is underneath the rubric of alleged anti-terrorism mobilization. But what I think we have to look at in detail is when you look at the fine print of these things. For example, in a document that we have that's a number of documents we have related to the American training of counter-terrorist forces, it was pointed out recently that a camp that's called Camp Lemonnier in Djibouti is a camp that's going to become a major regional base. It's not just a place that's going to be 10, 15, maybe 80 troops. Instead, it's going to be a place that will have up to 700 different personnel from the highly secretive Joint Special Operations Command, and they're getting ready to spend about $1.2 billion to set up this Camp Lemonnier in Djibouti. Now, none of this information comes from secretive sources. It comes from people who do Africa academic work and probe various places to get the information and to get the story. I invite any of you to work with us in the U.S. Africa Network so that we can let the American people know what's really going down in terms of U.S. engagement with the African continent. I have to share with you very frankly that this is a very frightening period to me. I remember doing anti-apartheid work and always fearing, we always feared that one of the worst things that could possibly happen would be if under the Reagan administration, you would see US troops come in to defend American corporate interests in South Africa. And I think that what we're seeing happen today is precisely that scenario, that you are seeing various types of US military operations and training and programs that come into countries, and that the ultimate goal of those operations and activities is to defend US corporate presence in those particular countries, to strengthen and prevent, I think, any kinds of developments that they would be very scared about, like the kind of developments that came out of Julius Nyereri's Umoja, the Tanzanian effort. I am very close to, as has been announced, the Mozambican government, and I will forever wonder about the killing of Samora Machel, the president of Mozambique. He was not only a threat to the apartheid government of South Africa, but the model that Mozambique was providing to the African continent was one that threatened as well US economic and political interest. And so I would have long felt that the ending of the Mozambican initiative, of the Mozambican experiment, was not just the result of internal African activities and machinations. Rather, it was the result of various forces that combined to do things like the assassination of Samora Machel in the plane crash in, I think, 1986. I don't have much time left. I want to say to all of you, I'm very delighted to be here with you as always. I'm always available. Let me say to you, I want to underscore 100% Ali Kabba's comment to you that you must be vigilant, that it is a time for the maximization of cooperation of people from Africa with people from the diaspora, of friends of Africa, be they white, green, brown, whatever. We must maximize our efforts to help protect the mother continent. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Prexy, for those words of wisdom. And now we're going to talk about the nature of the trade between the United States and Africa and the opportunities there from our next speaker, Brother Ntum. Come on, Sam.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ntum. I work for the state of Illinois, the Office of Trade and Investment. This is the commercial arm of the state of Illinois, and our office helps to foster trade between Illinois and the rest of the world. In our office, we cover different regions of the world. I am responsible for Africa and the Middle East. I have a colleague who is responsible for Asia. Another one who is, there are actually two colleagues that are responsible for Asia. One is responsible just for China, and the other one covers all of Asia, including India. Then another colleague covers Europe. Another one covers Canada, because Canada is Illinois' biggest trading partner. Then another colleague covers Latin America and the Caribbean. And in all these regions of the world, the state of Illinois has got an office that represents the state of Illinois to help our companies so that when they want to do business in that region of the world, they will have somebody on the ground to help them facilitate their business deals and to get local companies to meet with them and answer questions on the local atmosphere on doing business. In Africa, we have an office in Johannesburg. The office, we've had that office for over 10 years. We briefly stopped working with that office for a while, but we have since had another arrangement with another group that is representing the state of Illinois in South Africa. And in the Middle East, we have an office in Jerusalem that represents the Middle East. That's my region that I cover, but we also have 2 offices in China, 1 in Japan, 1 in Brussels in Europe, 1 in Canada, 1 in Mexico, and another 1 in Brazil. From this, you can see that the state of Illinois is very, very focused on trade, on trade between our companies and the rest of the world. And when I give you a few figures, you're going to see why. And there are very few states that have offices around the world, like the state of Illinois, and very few states that promote trade the way Illinois promotes trade. We are very focused, and the governor is very interested in what we do and monitors what we do attentively. For example, if you talk of all the states, Illinois is the 3rd exporting state to Africa. When I say 3rd, then you say, but you said Illinois was on top. Why are they 3rd? Illinois is actually 1st because the first 2 exporting states are Texas and Louisiana, and they are port states. These are states where goods go through them to be exported. So these goods, when they go through, even when they come from other states, they are counted. So minus them being export states, Illinois is actually number 1 in terms of exports to Africa. And we export a lot of things to Africa. There are a lot, but I'm going to name just the top 5 products that Illinois exports to Africa. Industrial machinery, including computers, mineral fuel, vehicles, electrical machinery, and cereals. We export a lot, but I'm just naming all. I have a sheet here that has quite a lot of products that we export, and we export to different regions of Africa. And the same thing we export to different regions of the Middle East. But I guess in this meeting, I'm going to focus on Africa because this is an Africa-focused audience. So in terms of Africa, we have tried to cover every region of Africa. We've taken trade missions to West Africa, to Southern Africa, to Central Africa, and to East Africa. And I'm actually leaving in 2 weeks for a trade mission to Tanzania. We're going with 12 companies from the state of Illinois to Tanzania. We were actually going to Kenya, but unfortunately, because of the problems that Kenya has recently, we had to postpone the trip to Kenya, but we'll be going to Tanzania. And we've been to Nigeria, we've been to Ghana, we've been to Ethiopia, South Africa, of course, and we're exploring the rest of Africa, or the opportunities that are in other parts of Africa. We're counting on we've been to Cameroon, and this December, we'll be going to Senegal and Cameroon again. So when we talk of Africa, there are countries in Africa that are very strong and do a lot of business with the state of Illinois, and others that are still trying to drum up business and do business with us. So with the countries that are not very strong business partners with Illinois, we are working very hard to encourage them to do business with Illinois. I know when we talk to them, they say, but what are you guys importing from us? Yeah, we do import quite a lot from various African countries that are focused on doing trade with us. But our office is mainly export focused, export and foreign direct investment. That is, we mainly help companies from our state here that want to do business overseas. We facilitate that process by helping them to export their products and services to international markets. And foreign companies that want to invest in Illinois, we'll help bring them here by giving them all kinds of perks to entice them to invest in Illinois, because if they invest in Illinois, they will create jobs, and they'll also provide extra income as taxes to our state. The top export African countries are South Africa, of course. South Africa has been a top export country for a very long time. And then the next four have been alternating. One year, one will be second. The next year, one will be third, fourth. So this order is not been permanent. Right now, the second export country is Egypt, followed by Algeria, Nigeria, and Morocco. I'm just naming the top five. And I did tell you what the state of Illinois exports to the rest of Africa. And if we look at what all the other states combined export to Africa, you know, they export very similar products to what Illinois exports. And our main focus is when we are promoting trade, we don't stick to one sector of the economy. We cover all the different sectors of the economy in Illinois, both infrastructure, medical, agricultural, name it, all the various sectors that Illinois is good at. For example, in August, I'll be going to South Africa for a trade mission there, to a beauty trade show, and we've recruited beauty trade shows. We're going with 12 companies from Illinois that will participate at the beauty trade show in Johannesburg, and then we'll move on to Cape Town and have brief meetings there. And later next year, we'll go to Zambia for a mining trade show and also end up in Johannesburg, because when you talk of mining, you have to go to Johannesburg, because even though you might do mining in Zambia and the rest of the Southern African countries, but the main headquarters of the mining companies are in Johannesburg. And as I said, in December, we were going to Cameroon. There's a trade show in Cameroon called Promote. We went with 12 companies to Cameroon. And by way of Cameroon, we're going to go through Senegal, where we will stop in Senegal for matchmaking with the local companies. And I want to tell you that, especially in the case of Cameroon, I did tell you that we have offices around the world, but these offices don't cater to all the needs of our companies, especially in Africa. You know how big Africa is. 54 countries. If we have an office in South Africa, there is no way that they will be able to provide services to a company that wants to go to Central Africa, West Africa, or East Africa. So we have partners on the ground that we've been working with, especially me, that we've been working with, the U.S. Embassy. In every country, there's a U.S. Embassy or an affiliate of the U.S. Embassy. And the U.S. Embassy represents the interests of U.S. companies. So if there's one person that we're sure that will represent our interests and work very hard for our companies, is the United States Embassy. So in most of these countries that we go, the matchmaking is provided by the U.S. Embassy. We're going to Kenya. We're going to Tanzania. We're no longer going to Kenya. We're going to Tanzania. The matchmaking in Tanzania is going to be provided by the U.S. Embassy, same as when we'll go to Senegal and Cameroon in December. Is the U.S. Embassy in Dakar and the U.S. Embassy in Yaoundé that is going to provide matchmaking for our companies. So I know time is running out, but I want to let you know that if you know of any Illinois companies that are interested in exporting, please let them contact our office, let them contact me, let them call me. I think my phone number is in the informational brochure that you guys have. If you have a company that has products and you want to export to Africa, or you have services that you want to export to Africa, let me know, and I see how we can work to help your business grow internationally. You know, the U.S. market is just a very small fraction of what the world market is. We are less than 400 million people. We have more than 4 billion people out there. That's a huge market. So we need to tap into this market and make the best of it. And especially those of us that are of African descent, it is really good for us to take advantage of these programs. And I need to say this real quick. I didn't know my time was really running short. But the state of Illinois is not just talking. We are actually putting our mouth, what is the expression? We are actually backing up what we say, because we're not just helping. We're not just telling these companies that, oh, come, we're going to help you export. For the last 3 years, we are paying part of the expenses of these companies. We are paying part of their airfare. As a minority, we'll pay 3/4 of your airfare, 3/4 of your hotel bill. If you go to a trade show, we'll pay 100% of your trade show cost. We'll pay 100% of your local transportation. Let's say if you go to Zambia and you need to see a company, we'll provide a car to take you from the hotel there and back. So we are putting our mouths behind what we say. So if you know of any company that is interested in doing business in Africa, please let them contact me, and I'll see how we can work together. And if you have a chance, we are on the 3rd floor in the State of Illinois building. If you stop by, just give me a call. If you want to meet with me, I'm available every time to meet with you, unless I'm out of the country. But I will very welcome, like to meet with any of you and answer any of your questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? Thank you. Okay, got a few minutes to go through some questions here. Good. So 2 things. Prexy, maybe you can go first here. You spoke about AFRICOM. What can you tell us about the role that the U.S. currently playing in Central African Republic and South Sudan?
I think the best answer to that is that we should not do anything unilaterally. And that seems to be exactly the direction in which the Obama administration is moving more and more steadily, is to do unilateral things in these countries. Our position is that you should, in these crises like the crisis in South Sudan, or the crisis of the disappearance of the young women in Nigeria, that the response should not be a la the French style, sort of French unilateral actions. On the contrary, it should be taken through the Organization of African Unity. It should be taken through United Nations bodies. Above all, avoid any kind of unilateral boots on the ground, whether they're specialized or not.
Quickly here, maybe I can go with you are here, Prexy, so it makes it easier, then I can have Sam. And how does U.S.-Africa Network work with rulers and leadership? It's not the common people allowing military bases to be built.
We don't work with rulers and leadership. I mean, our orientation is to work with the civil society in Africa. We are made up, the U.S.-Africa Network, of various African or civic organizations, trade unions, churches, community organizations. In some cases, those are organizations that are in opposition to the leadership in some of those countries. But the general orientation we have is what helps average, ordinary people in Africa. And it's not about furthering the elites of Africa. It's not about creating more elites. It's not about trying to make another model of the United States in Africa with a very highly layered society. You know, there's a new expression in South Africa. They talk about the people with money as the black diamonds in South Africa. We're not about trying to create and help black diamonds. Now, those leaders that have real sincere engagement and approaches to helping the vast majority of the people in their country, we have nothing but the greatest respect and are totally prepared to work with them. But we're not about trying to further exploit average, ordinary people, like we don't want to see that here. I read so many U.S. things about their goals in Africa. You have to read this piece that I mentioned to you. And I kept thinking as I'm reading this, why can't they use that goal on the west side of Chicago? They have a goal of, for example, trying to extend opportunity, give development. They don't do that in Lawndale, where I come from, which is full of nothing but abandoned houses and children being shot as they're trying to go to school.
Thank you. Thanks, bro. That's good. So we'll change gear to trade. Sam, quickly here, I got a bunch of stuff for you, but I'm going to combine it all. How does your office benefit local African businesses? One, and two, I'd like to know when the state of Illinois will have an office in West Africa. You know I had to ask you that one. right, you know. And the last one is Benin in West Africa is a good opportunity for business, so investment. What is the process in order to bring business opportunities from Illinois to Benin? So if you can just combine those, I think we have time for those.
Talking about local businesses, local African businesses, as I indicated, priority is to encourage local African businesses that are producing or that are in export to go back and bring their products back to the motherland, and there is no better way than to do that. And as I said, we are there to help you. The trade missions that I'm going, there are quite a number of African businesses that are with me that are going back to provide their services and products back to Africa. So if you have a business or you have a service that you think you can export it, please let me know. Then about the office in West Africa, I think it's that's a very good question. I'm not in the position of the governor to respond to that, but I think as I indicated in my statement, Africa is a big continent, 54 countries. It's huge. It's the size of, if you put the United States, China, and many of these countries, they will fit into Africa, and you still have a lot of room. It is a huge continent. Well, there are a lot of people here don't know the magnitude of how big Africa is. So I have, in my position, I cannot make that decision, but I've always given advice that we need more than one office in Africa, and that an office in Africa that is just in South Africa cannot really cover all of Africa effectively. So for us to be really productive, we need an office in West Africa and probably another one in East Africa added to the one in South Africa. But you know, it's all a question of money. You know, the state has a lot of monetary problems, so they have to manage their resources the best that they can. And about taking a trade mission to Benin, if somebody's really interested in that, we should go to Benin, let them meet with me and tell me why we should go to Benin. Because I pick the destinations where we go, and we go where I think that we will get the maximum value for our effort. If you think that Benin is a good market, and you meet with me and convince me, and I see that, yeah, Benin is a good market, then probably we can plan something to go to Benin. And it's not only, we don't only go to trade missions. We don't only help Illinois companies by taking them to trade missions. We help individual companies go to different destinations. For example, if your company wants to go to Benin, and we're not taking a trade mission to Benin, it doesn't mean that you cannot go to Benin. You contact me, we will still help you to go to Benin. If it's a good product that you have and you meet our requirements, we will still provide the same remunerations that I talked about. You will still have, we'll cover 75% of your airfare, 75% of your hotel bill to a maximum of $5,000 for you to go to Benin. But it has to meet our requirements.
Thank you so much. On that note, we're running out of time. Okay, we'll ask this question. I think even Wow, this is getting to be good. Okay. I think this will be good for Prexy too. Trade with Africa isn't a relationship between a winner and a loser, right? If not, how U.S. policies advances economic growth in African trade. Okay, I knew that. I knew that was Prexy.
Well, it's obvious, right? I mean, what's projected is, and this is not to at all reflect on my colleague on the speaker table. This brother is very serious, very honest, very sincere, and very committed. But the ball game of the United States and the world is not serious, honest, and committed. It is a ball game about maintaining American hegemony and running the world. That is the ultimate ball game. So that any trade mission may be successful, but it doesn't stand a chance. Ask how many really local small business organizations doing work, particularly black organizations, have a chance against something like Caterpillar or against John Deere. And those companies are not about helping Africa. They're about maximization of profit return for those companies, period. And it's a far different approach than the approach, for example, of the Scandinavian countries, Sweden, Norway, Denmark. Very different approach. So I think again, let me say, I respect this brother very much. And I'm sitting there thinking, wow, let me see, my little company, we take people on tours to Africa. Maybe I should go over there and talk to them, see if they'll give us some money. But we go all over the world with the intention of helping regular, honest, working people, not trying to maximize more money for that 1% in this country that is running the world.
Thank you. We'll take. Okay. We got like 3 more minutes.
I think what the former speaker said, I totally disagree with him, because every company is in business because they want to make money. If you don't want to make money, then you will not be in business. And if a company tells you that they are doing it because they are benevolent, because it is the art of good nature, that's a joke. Every company is in the business of making money, whether it's a mom and pop or is the giants like John Deere and Caterpillar. And the state of Illinois realizes that, these major big companies, they already have enough money, they have the assets, they have the ability, they have the people to foster trade for themselves. So we really don't work with the big companies. We work with the small to medium-sized companies. These are companies that are still struggling, that don't have either they have the financial might or that need the name of the state of Illinois ahead to break barriers for them. So I really don't think that there's any country that goes, I don't care whether you go to Europe or to Latin America or to Africa, these companies go there because they want to make money. There's none that goes there because they want to help the people, no. And all my travels in Africa, I see how we are not, the US is not very, very competitive. We are not as competitive as the Chinese. You see how the Chinese are taking a very strong foothold in Africa. And it's the same thing that I try to tell our companies here, that we really need to step up our game in Africa. And with statements like this, I don't know. I'm sorry. I totally disagree with you.
Great. Okay. Now we are going to have someone who would like to just ask the question instead of writing it, and give that one opportunity. Yes, my brother.
Thank you so much. It's good to be here. I have a few questions for Prexy.
You got like 1 minute.
1 minute. For Prexy, as well as the representative of the government in Illinois. For Mr. Prexy, what can we do as Africans to change the open secret that Africa is the next battlefield, is a battlefield of tomorrow? And also, what can we do as a community as well to impact the change when it comes to the trade policy and a few other things that impact Africa directly. For Mr. Representative, please tell us the real policy that the state of Illinois has to deal with this African companies or African countries, because so far you only spoke about the companies that go to Africa and what you do in Africa. What's the real policy, if you can tell us?
Okay, thank you so much for those questions. You want to go quickly, Prexy? Got a minute?
Very quickly, I only have 30 seconds. I think the first thing we do is that we have much more people-to-people connections and relationships with Africa. In the case of Mozambique, I know in Mozambique tons of small business and artisan organizations that would welcome the chance to come and have their goods sold and displayed and exchanged here with small artisan groups that are out of Chicago area. I think you can do that in a way that you don't have intervening forces that are just going to turn it into a money thing, but instead make it one that really benefits Mozambique. That's difficult now because Mozambique, as you know, has been changed quite considerably, and it's not the same. Lastly, I want to note, I don't disagree with this. This brother said the same thing I said. He said it's all about business. And I said simply, look at the businesses he identified. Those are the big petrol producing countries, huh? Algeria, Nigeria. Those are big, Egypt, big petrol, South Africa, the gold and coal. Those are big, and that's what we're getting from those countries. That's not stuff that either helps small people in either South Africa or in the United States, in either Egypt or in the United States. Our emphasis is how do you help do things that help encourage small people. Final point, we have to have many more meetings with our elected officials. Danny Davis should be brought in here every other week. I know you have close ties with some, like the congressman from here who's tried to do a good job, but bring in the white congressman too. Bring them all in here so that you force them to listen to your agenda about Africa. Thank you.
30 seconds. There again, I'm going to say that, the United States is a country, just like African countries are also countries like Nigeria, South Africa, Egypt, Botswana, and these countries have to promote their own trade. They have to promote their exports. I mean, if our office helps our local companies to export their products, it's the same as the African countries. They have embassies here. That's what the embassies are for. And in each embassy, you have a commercial attaché. The job of the commercial attaché is to promote exports from their country into the United States. So you don't expect the United States to do the job of the commercial attaché. Let's say the commercial attaché in the Ghanaian embassy, if he goes to sleep, you don't expect us to do the job for him. He is there to promote Ghana, to promote importing products from Ghana into the United States. That is why he's there, and that is why he's being paid. So the U.S. has tried by having agreements like AGOA to help facilitate the import of African goods, but having agreements without the Africans actually putting teeth to it, it's not going to work. So you have to throw the ball back to the court of our African countries to make sure that the embassies don't come here and go to sleep. If they have good products that need to be imported into the United States, those commercial attachés need to work hard to bring those products, to help those companies bring their products here. It's not our job to import products from other countries.
Thank you. So I know that everybody got so many questions, and when we're talking about Africa, I feel the energy, but we have to wrap up our session. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I want to first of all thank our panelists for the great engaging conversation. Thank you so much.